In this video, we are going to preview the WNBA 2024 season. In a nutshell, I believe it breaks down into tiers, which I will go into as well at the end of the video. I will touch on Nika Mule and her situation with the Seattle Storm. If you are not aware, Jade Melbourne has been traded to the Washington Mystics. Will the back to sports guy go Arthur Fonzarelli? Or will he go Jerry Orbach?
When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong.
If you want to find out, you'll have to stay to the end, as that's dessert. Now, before we start, if you like the content, then please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. As well, your poison is always welcome. And my God, have I got a lot of poison lately, which has been fine and appreciated. All right, let's get into this WNBA 2024. As stated in the opening, I think the WNBA makes the most sense when you split it up into tiers. And to celebrate them getting charter travel in the WNBA, I am going to break it up into flight tiers. That being first class, business class, economy, and then the dreaded Spirt Airlines. If you're in Europe, substitute EasyJet. If you're in Australia, think Jetstar. Now, there are only two in first class. It's pretty obvious. So first, the Aces. It almost seems like a fait accompli that they will be back in the finals in 2024. The retiring of Candace Parker hurts a bit, as that would have been fun to watch, seeing her and A'ja Wilson develop chemistry and playing well together, and it just gives them, they lose a little bit of that margin with her retiring. But overall, the important thing is their core four, making sure none of those get injured, and especially they cannot afford A'ja Wilson getting injured, as that would obviously devastate any chance to three-peat in 2024. The fun things to watch in 2024 is how much better can Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young get, as they should really be hitting the prime of their careers. Now, the other team making the left turn and joining them in first class is the New York Liberty, who lost to the Aces in the finals in 2023. If you are a Liberty fan, then you are optimistic, saying that we have more team chemistry, as Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart will be more comfortable playing with each other, and just the overall team defense will be better. If you are a pessimist or an Aces fan, you would say our backcourt crushed your backcourt, and Courtney Vandersloot is only getting older and slower, therefore we will continue to crush you. In addition, Aces fans probably sleep better that they have Becky Hammon as their coach versus Sandy Brondello. They're both fine coaches, but if you were going into a playoff game, who would you want coaching your team? But overall, like I said, the Liberty hope will be that they are better just from being able to play more together. In addition, they would hope to beat up the Aces in the front court with Jonquel Jones and Stewie, making it hard for the Aces to match up. But the Aces have the final ace in the deck, or the final saying in this argument, saying, hey, we beat you last year and we plan to beat you again in 2024. Hope to see you in the finals. Now, there are two teams flying business class that hope to ruin the rematch of a final of the Aces and Liberty, which is, first of all, the Connecticut Sun. They're not exciting. They're just solid and tough. They control pace, and they will just grind you to death and wear down teams. They were obviously hurt in 2023 by injuries when Jones got knocked out for the season. But if you have Thomas, Bonner, and Jones, that's a nice little big three. I think they will be hurt by the retirement of Tiffany Hayes, as I thought she gave them a little bit more offensive punch, which they will miss. And because of that, I think they are just a touch below of the first-class teams. As well, it's hard for me to get the image out of my mind last year when Thomas was berating the team, obviously frustrated that they were losing in the playoffs to the Liberty. But overall, I was just like, man, it is done. It's going to be hard for this team ever to get over the top again. The other team joining them in business class is the Seattle Storm, and I think they have a good chance to break through and get into first class. Obviously, they won the offseason with the signing of Nika Ogumake as well as Skylar Diggins-Smith. You combine that with Jewel Lloyd, they have a nice little big three. As well, they have young depth. It's just a good mix on their roster with Izzy Magdabor as well as Jordan Horston, who just add that extra depth and young youth that will develop and get better as the season progresses. In addition, it looks like they'll have the best backup point guard in the WNBA that'll bring a bit of UConn culture to them that's sure to get them over the top. But more on that later in the video. Now for the teams making the right-hand turn into economy. Now, economy has 4 seats in it, but I have 5 potential teams getting a ticket on the plane. We will figure out at the end which one will miss out. So the first one is the Phoenix Mercury. Now, I find the Mercury one of the most interesting teams in the WNBA as they have the potential to be bumped up to first or business class, but as well, they could be kicked off the flight altogether. The positive spin on them is they now have Kalia Copper to take some of the pressure off Diana Taurasi as well. Natasha Cloud has been added to give them more players, more depth, and veteran leadership. In addition, Brittany Griner would hopefully be better after a year being back and sort of adjusting and getting her conditioning back and things like that after her year of detainment in Russia. Now the glass half empty. This will turn into a disaster would be just the injury history of their players. Diana Taurasi has struggled with injuries over the last few seasons. Same thing with Natasha Cloud. Rebecca Allen as well, who is also a nice free agent pickup from the Connecticut Sun. She has struggled with her injuries over the last few years. The addition of Copper is great, but at the same time, she was the alpha on the Chicago Sky and just could get them only to an 8 seed. Is combining Copper and Taurasi going to be good enough to get the Phoenix Mercury over the top? That would be the question. And if you're a pessimist, you'd say no way. If you're an optimist, you'll say Taurasi, Cloud, and Rebecca Allen will all be healthy. Combine them with Copper and Brittany Griner, and we are on our way. We are going to get bumped up to first class. To be determined. I think the next 3 teams are pretty much expected to make the playoffs. The first one being the Dallas Wings. Now, they have already taken an early hit as Satu Sabali got hurt during the Olympic qualifier and is out with a shoulder injury. Dallas says that she will return in August, hopefully after the Olympics, and help them in their playoff push and in the playoffs. Now, that is a big loss early in the regular season as they needed her to step up last season with the trading of Alicia Gray to the Atlanta Dream, and she just did that, scoring 18.6 points, going for 8.1 rebounds, and she was pretty efficient as well, shooting 43% from the floor and 36% from three-point range. But despite this, with Tierra McCowan at center and Arike Agumawale, you think they're they're going to make the playoffs. The question with them is, can they get to the next level? Can you get to the next level with your 2 best players being Arike Agumawale and Tierra McCowan? Because Agumawale, she scores points, but she's just not very efficient as she just shot just a little bit under 40% last year. The other one with Tierra McCowan is she's such a liability on defense because teams get her and pick and roll. And when you get to a better team like they got in the second round against the Las Vegas Aces, that's where you feel it because I don't know McCowan is able to guard that upper echelon sort of post or the unicorn type post that can take you outside, but as well inside. That's where she tends to struggle. It still sticks out in my mind about how Dallas lost in the playoffs to the Connecticut Sun a couple of years ago, and one of the adjustments they had to make during that series that allowed them to steal a game from Connecticut was taking McCowan out of the starting lineup and putting Isabella Harrison in there, as she was able to match up better with the Sun bigs. So I wonder, is this about as far as Dallas can go, second round? And I wonder at some stage if they will get frustrated with Agumawale. Now, crystal ball prediction, at some stage, I wonder if she will be traded to the Chicago Sky as they need a star player. And if Greg Bibb gets sick of Arike, that would be a natural landing point in my mind. Again, that is off the wall prediction. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I could see it. Now, the next team is the Atlanta Dream, and in a lot of ways, they are very similar to the Dallas Wings. I see them sort of like mirror each other. The Wings have a little bit more experience, but Ryan Howard, that's the question. Is Ryan Howard Arike Jr., basically? She gets her points, but not very efficiently. As in her first 2 seasons, she's gone for 16 per game and then 17 per game last season, but her shooting percentage has been under 40% at 36 and then 38% in the last 2 years. But much like Dallas, they have a lot of good parts around her. So Cheyenne Parker is very solid. In addition, they landed Alicia Gray from Dallas in the trade the year before, who's really good as well. The other one they've added is Jordan Canada. Now, Canada is currently out with a hand injury, and they haven't given an update, so I don't know how long she's going to be out for. The other question with Canada was, did she just have a contract year with the LA Sparks? As her three-point percentage prior to last season, I think she shot the year before like 14% and then upped it to like 33% last season. Is that sustainable or not? That player she was last year, or will she sort of regress to the mean? The other player to keep your eye on is obviously Haley Jones, who had her moments in her rookie year. The obvious question with her is, will her outside shot improve, as she was 33% from the floor and 21% from three last season? If she does, then wow, she has everything because she's big, has size, and a good enough handle to play at guard. But if she develops the outside shot, then you really have sort of a triple threat player that can do everything. Now, with the Dream, I think their upside is greater than that of the Dallas Wings, just because I think Ryan Howard, we're not sure what she is at this stage. I think she still has potential to improve. As well, overall, I think Atlanta has more potential to be a better defensive team than Dallas is. The next team is the Lynx, and in some ways, I think their star player, Nafisa Collier, is more efficient than Ryan Howard and Arike Ogumawale. But then at the same time, her supporting cast, it is developing, and we're not sure what she has beside her. The off-guard position is solid with Kayla McBride, so she'll get around 13 or 14 points and shoot around 40%. And then it seems like they finally sorted out their point guard issue after messing around with it for years. They had the Aerial Powers experience that didn't work out. Lindsay Allen was always limited as well, but they finally appear to have sorted that out as they went in free agency and got Courtney Williams. Now, Williams is not a star, but she's very serviceable. You know what you're going to get. She'll go for around 10 points, shoot over 40%. Her three-point shooting last year was really good. She shot 44% for Chicago. The year before, she was 33%, and the year before that, 38%. So she's just very, very solid and a dependable point guard. They have a solid backup for her as well in Natasha Heidemann. They have other parts, as they got Alana Smith off Chicago. She's very solid. She's 6'4", has a bit of height, and she played well last year for Chicago. In addition, the big one for them is, how does Diamond Miller develop? She had a solid rookie year, playing 26 minutes a game, going for 12 points, shooting 40% from the floor and 30% from the three-point line. She is that unicorn-type player that teams are looking for, as she's long at 6'3", but quick enough to play on the outside or inside, and they are hoping that she will be the sidekick to go along with Nafisa Collier. Now, the last team vying for a spot in economy of this plane, if you like, would be the Indiana Fever. They are trying to move up to higher ground, just like the Jeffersons, and get out of the lottery. And before you crush me in the comments and say I'm just picking this team because of Caitlin Clark, that's not really the case. The real reason is Aaliyah Boston. I think she is lined up to have a great season this year. And then they just have other solid pros as well. So obviously Kelsey Mitchell, then Katie Lou Samuelson, along with Lexi Hull and Christy Wallace. They're just all solid pros. I didn't even mention the veteran as well, Erica Wheeler. And then you add Caitlin Clark at point guard to this mix, and I think that they will bust through and make it to the playoffs. Now, Caitlin Clark, do I think she's going to be amazing straight up? I think she will go just fine this year. I think the magic thing with her is just obviously Captain Obvious, her shot, and it just causes so much gravity. It makes it so much easier for people around her, because teams have to respect her shot from so far out that just opens everything up, much like the way Stephen Curry does for the Warriors. Now for the teams that are going to fly Spirit Airlines. Now, if you've flown Spirit, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, well then think of EasyJet, like I said, or Jetstar in Australia. The Washington Mystics are the first team. When their general manager sent out a letter to season ticket holders saying, we decided we need a fresh start and usher in a new era. Well, that's basically the sign that, hey guys, we are going to tank and get new, fresh blood in here. And then obviously they sent Cloud. She went to Las Vegas. And then Deladon, they're in a bit of a staring contest with her. She says she's not playing. and they're looking to get value for her. I'm wondering how that is going to resolve. Will Elena Delle Donne ultimately be retired, or will they get some value out of her at the end of the year, trading her to another team? If you are a Mystics fan, then you should be excited about watching Aaliyah Edwards and seeing how she develops. In addition, you should be happy that Mike Thibault is running your organization, as he usually does pretty good in terms of making personnel decisions and figuring out what to do with the draft picks. The other team that is clearly set up for the tank is the LA Sparks. Now, I am sure Kurt Miller will not admit this, but it's pretty clear the season's all about developing Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson. That will be the fun of the season, and then getting ping pong balls to get into the lottery and seeing if they can score Paige Beckers or Kiki very often. And the reasoning to go for ping pong balls, even though Kurt Miller will deny it, is that they would have 3 core players under contract for the next 5 to 7 years, depending on the new collective bargaining agreement, and they're all core players, and it's LA, so it'd be easy to score free agents and build around them. Now, the last team flying Spirit Air is the Chicago Sky. I am sorry, Quita, but I am not bullish on your team. I am very down on your team, and think that they will not make the playoffs, because if you take away your best player, Kalia Copper, and she was on your team and you finished 8th, you take her away as well as your point guard, Courtney Williams, then I think you're doomed to finish in the lottery. And worst of all, because of that rat James Wade who left y'all in the middle of the season, you do not have your own draft pick. Lucky for you, you do have the Phoenix Mercury's draft pick. And then that leads me to what of the 5 teams that are in economy, which one is going to get bumped off the flight onto Spirit Airlines? I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. Yes, I think it is the Phoenix Mercury, as I am a bad guy and am predicting a dumpster fire because of injuries and poor health. But no doubt this is reckless speculation on my part, because they have Taurasi the GOAT, Kalia Copper, and Rebecca Allen, and a whole bunch of others, and I could wind up eating my words, but I'm sure Phoenix Mercury fan won't call me out for that. They'll forgive me and say, hey, you were making your pick and you just got it wrong. Don't worry about it. That's the way the internet rolls. But just to recap my picks, so like I said, first class, I have got the Aces and Liberty. In business class, I have the Connecticut Sun and the Seattle Storm, who have upgraded from Spirit Airline all the way up to business class. Congratulations to them and their free agent signings. And then making the hard right turn into the economy section, I have the Atlanta Dream, Minnesota Lynx, the Dallas Wings, and the Indiana Fever. And then finally bumped off of the flight because they overbooked it, I've got the Phoenix Mercury. Unfortunately, you will be flying Spirit this season. In addition, you will join the Chicago Sky, who, much like you, who gave your pick away to the New York Liberty and the swap rights, the Chicago Sky do not have their draft pick, as they gave it to Greg Bibb and the Dallas Wings. The last 2 teams tanking for balls will be the Washington Mystics and the LA Sparks. And now, finally, for the last thing in this video, a formal apology. Yes, I will make a formal apology to Nika Mule and Yukon Nation. I was wrong. Wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong. You're wrong.
I was wrong, yes. If you are not aware, Jade Melvin has been traded to the Washington Mystics. So it is pretty obvious. I don't know how the Seattle Storm are going to do it. I'm not sure if they're going to cut her for a few days and bring her back on Melbourne's contract, or if they are going to cut Vivian. I am not sure, but one way or another, it is pretty clear that Nika Mule has made the Seattle Storm roster. Last night, before I went to bed, I was pretty sure I was going to eat it on this one when I saw the Seattle Storm post a video where they had Nika Mule get her graduation and the whole organization was clapping for her. And I was like, man, they're definitely doing something, because that would be pretty damn cruel to cut her after doing something like that. And then, of course, I wake up in the morning and the messages are there telling me that Melbourne has been traded to the Mystics. Overall, I'm happy for both players. I think it will work out best for both, as I think Melbourne will get a good chance to play with the Washington Mystics as they are rebuilding as well, and that's probably the best situation for her, and obviously they want her because they traded for her. In addition, Nika playing for the Seattle Storm. If you need a backup point guard, I don't know how many minutes she will get, but because she's been in big time games with UConn, it's probably a better fit for the Storm for her to be playing there instead of Melbourne. But yes, I do need to eat it on this one. You can tell me how wrong I was. I am happy to eat it. Thank you very much. Seeing the internet is forever. I will keep that video up and I will get comments for the rest of time on that video, no doubt. And when I dare to make predictions in the future, I have no doubt it'll be pointed out to me, hey, this was the guy that told us Nika Mule was not making the Seattle Storm roster. And if I make it to the States in the next year, it's pretty clear I will be flying Spirit Airlines. Good night.